When you think about businesses that are selling through the roof, like Aloe or Allbirds, sure, you think about a great product, a cool brand, and great marketing. But an often overlooked secret is actually the businesses behind the business, making selling, and for shoppers, buying, simple. For millions of businesses, that business is Shopify. Nobody does online business better than Shopify. It's home of Shop Pay, the #1 checkout in the world. You can use it to boost conversions up to 50%, meaning way less carts going abandoned and way more sales going through to checkout. Sign up for your $1 per month trial period at shopify.com/income, all lowercase. Go to shopify.com/income to upgrade your selling today. That's shopify.com/income.
USAA knows dynamic duos can save the day, like superheroes and sidekicks or auto and home insurance. With USAA, you can bundle your auto and home and save up to 10%. Learn more and get a quote at usaa.com/bundle. Restrictions apply.
This content may not be suitable for all audiences. Listener discretion advised.
I froze. It wasn't my voice. Not a thought. It was something else. In my head.
It faced me, completely still, like a lifeless corpse. But I could feel its gaze, as if it was studying me from head to toe.
From killer podcasts, true tales of the occult, otherworldly encounters, unexplainable events, this is Disturbed True Paranormal. Hello and welcome back to the show. This week we're bringing you 3 stories of the spirit, a specter in the doorway, a chill in the air. It's not in your head, it's in your home. This week, hauntings. So sit back, listen closely, and dive into the horror. First, a story written by disturbed listener Charles. Thank you for sharing, Charles. If you have a truly terrifying tale you'd like to share on the podcast, email us at mystory@evergreenpodcasts.com. The Haunting on Gordon Street, narrated by the talented Gregory James.
I never wanted to tell this. Even now, it feels like waking something that should stay buried. But some places, they don't let you go. Some hauntings just follow you. We lived in a cramped, noisy house with 5 kids. Next door was our elderly neighbor, Virginia. As a kid, I'd run past her house. I'd see her sitting alone, talking to no one. But when she noticed me, her head would snap towards me. Too fast. And she'd smile. Not kindly. A grin that didn't belong. Our family would help look after her, and one time she'd fallen on the stairs. My parents found her between the 2nd and 3rd floors. She had laid there for 2 days. Too weak to get up, too weak to crawl back down. Just waiting. She was alive, but barely. She passed away a week later. Her family offered my parents the house as a thank you for looking after her. It was bigger than our house, a lot more space. We moved in a few months later. It made perfect sense. But even that first night, I felt it. The house wasn't empty. Not really. It had been waiting a long time for someone to come home. At first, it was just the absence of something we hadn't realized we relied on. Sound. We were a loud family. 5 kids battling over the TV, music thumping, feet pounding up and down the stairs. But here, it felt different. The house just absorbed it. One night, my brother Jeff was walking up the stairs when he felt it. Halfway up, he stopped dead. Something brushed past him, like someone walking by, almost through him. He turned, but the stairs were empty. He didn't walk the rest of the way up. He fucking ran. Not because he wanted to, but because something was scaring the absolute shit out of him. My first real scare happened in the bathroom. I was lying back in that old clawfoot tub with my eyes closed. This unsettling feeling started to come over me, like I wasn't alone. I tried to stay calm, telling myself it was just my imagination, but I kept my eyes shut. Big mistake. The longer I waited, the worse it got. Then, movement. Not in the water. Outside the tub. Watching. Then, a whisper. Open your eyes. I froze. Open them. Open them. It repeated. It wasn't my voice. Not a thought. It was something else. In my head. Or maybe not even in my head. Just open your eyes, it urged. Just get out of the tub. I opened them. For a split second, I saw it. A shadow. Not by the door. Not outside the tub. But at my feet. This wasn't an illusion. It was there. My breath caught and water splashed out on the floor as I scrambled out of the tub. Was it my imagination, or was the house watching, listening, waiting to unleash terror? Then, one night, it answered. I woke up. My brother Den was standing beside his bed, stiff, frozen. What the fuck was I looking at? His eyes were open with a vacant stare. He was speaking in a slow, rhythmic chant. Maladik dum adis. It sounded like a different language, a deep drone that I'll never forget. I yelled his name, but he didn't respond. Then his head tilted down, and his lips started moving faster, almost frantic. The words poured out, Maladik dum adis, and then he fell back on his bed, like something had been holding him up, and then let him go. Years later, I searched for those words online, and the closest translation I found, the curse is here. The house was escalating, and we were all targets. One night, it started softly. A muffled sobbing, like a little girl's voice, drifted through the halls. It woke our mom up. She sat up in her bed and listened. She thought it was Amy and called out to her. The sobbing stopped abruptly, like it knew it had been heard. My mom headed toward my sister's room and stared in disbelief when she saw Amy standing on her bed, climbing. Her fingers were pressed against the wall, reaching for something invisible. Then she slammed back down onto the mattress, and for a moment, she just lay there, dazed. Then she looked at my mom with glassy, empty eyes. She didn't remember getting up, but the house did. A few weeks later, my sister Holly and her friend cut school and decided to play with a Ouija board. They knew they shouldn't and soon regretted that they did. They'd asked it if anyone was there, and the planchette moved. Not a twitch, but a smooth, gliding movement. How many spirits are in this house? The board went straight to 7. Holly's friend looked at her. "You moved it." "I didn't," Holly swore. Then asked, "Are you good or evil?" The planchette shot across the board, spelling out EVIL. They shoved that fucking board back in the closet, desperate to forget it ever happened. But the house had heard them. It was always listening. At this point, we all thought that there was an evil presence lurking in the house. And if there were any doubts, the house made sure we all fucking understood. There was a small wooden cross that hung in the hallway outside my parents' room. It had always been there. Then, one morning, it was upside down. Not tilted, not hanging from its nail, just deliberately flipped. My mom stared. She didn't say anything. Finally, she reached out, flipped it right side up, and walked away. She never mentioned it. But the next morning, it was upside down again, and again, and again. The house was done being subtle. It was escalating to the point that it wanted us to see. Even our dog, Sherlock, sensed it. He refused to go upstairs and would stand at the bottom of the stairs, barking and backing away, like something unseen was waiting for him. The final straw came when my parents arrived home to find my sisters out on the front steps crying hysterically. Inside, the doors and cabinets were slamming wildly. The house was angry, and we knew we had to leave. It wasn't just haunted. It was alive. Years later, my dumb ass should have never gone back, but I did. The house was empty now. We had moved out, and I had a house of my own. I told myself I was just getting my Christmas train set from the basement. But honestly, the house had been in my head for years. I needed to know if it was still waiting for me. So I parked across the street and stared. The house was dark and still, but I was about to wake it up. The front door creaked open, and I moved quickly through the living room, past the stairs, into the dining room. I went to the basement door and opened it. A single pull-string light bulb was above the stairs. I pulled it, and the light buzzed on, dim and weak. Halfway down, the temperature seemed to drop. It was so cold. On the basement floor, I saw the Christmas train set leaning against the wall. When I reached for it, I heard a low and raspy laugh right behind me. I spun around, but nothing was there. Then, bang! What the fuck? The train set crashed, and the basement door slammed shut. I froze. The light bulb flickered. Not a normal flicker, but a strobe. On, off, too fast, too violent. The shadows twisted with each flash, and I ran. Something grabbed at my ankle. It was cold and strong, not human. It yanked me back. I kicked hard. It held on. The lights strobed faster. The laughter grew louder. I clawed at the steps, something pulling me down, dragging me into the dark. I kicked again. The grip broke. I scrambled up, slamming into the door. It wouldn't open. Something was holding it shut. The maniacal laughter was pulsing through the basement. Then, through the flashing light, I saw her. Virginia. Sitting in her chair, talking to no one, pausing, listening. Then her head snapped toward me, too fast, too sharp, like she'd been waiting. And then she moved. No. The word exploded. The door flew open. I ran. I never looked back. I hit the front door, slammed it shut. Didn't lock it, didn't care. Just ran. My hands were shaking as I shoved the key into the ignition and started it up. I gripped the steering wheel so tight, my knuckles were white. As I pulled away, I looked at the house. It was dark and still. Then the lights flickered 3 times. Ha, ha, ha. Then darkness. Like it was laughing at me. Like Virginia knew something I didn't. I don't remember driving home. Only the feeling. Like the house was watching me leave. Years later, Den dropped a bombshell. There's something I never told you guys. I played with a Ouija board in my room before Holly ever did. Silence hung heavy in the air. What did it say? I finally asked. Den hesitated, then slowly. It told us there were 7 spirits in the house. I started to tremble. That was the same answer Holly had gotten. Den rubbed his hands together and exhaled sharply. I still didn't believe it, he said. So I told it to prove it. I already dreaded what came next. Den swallowed hard. That's when the window flew open. He looked at me directly. And my socks. He paused, the suspense agonizing. They were sliced open. Heel to toe, not ripped, not torn. Fucking sliced. I just stared at him, speechless. Then, without another word, he pulled out his phone, tapped the screen, and put it on speakerphone. Dude, Den said into the phone, tell them what happened that night at my house. A crackle of static. Then his friend Mikey's voice. The Ouija board? Yeah. A pause. Then, the fucking window flew open, man. And his socks were cut clean in half. Holly then chimed in. After we moved, when we went back to clean it out, there was something hidden under the carpet in our room. It was an old newspaper with articles about 3 murders and a suicide on our goddamn block. She couldn't make out the year, but it didn't matter. Whatever happened on that street had left something behind, something that still demanded to be known. We don't talk about the house much anymore. Not because we've forgotten, but because it scares the shit out of us. When we do bring it up, we laugh, nervously. We call it crazy. But every single time, there's a pause, a moment where the words catch in our throats. Because deep down, we know something evil was in that house. And the worst part? We don't know if we left it behind. Because sometimes, in Holly's new house, she still hears it. A soft, muffled sobbing. Not outside, not in her head, but inside the house. She tries to ignore it, tells herself it's nothing, but the crying never stops. It gets closer. And one night, she finally understood. She didn't leave the house on Gordon Street. It never let her go. And neither did the little girl. She still sobs. Holly hears her. And now, sometimes late at night, I think I hear her too.
I don't scare easy, but something that makes my stomach turn over is cheap clothes. After one wash, this shirt is tattered and shrunk. Absolutely terrifying should the encounter ever happen without my ability to brace myself. That's why I trust Quince for all my clothing choices nowadays. My Flowknit Performance Zip hoodie from them is a staple of my closet now. Comfortable, fashionable, and well-made. Quince is everything you need this summer, because the only thing worse than being hunted by a crazed killer is doing it while overpaying. Stick to the staples that last with elevated essentials from Quince. Go to quince.com/disturbed for free shipping on your order and 365-day returns. That's QUINCE.com/disturbed to get free shipping and 365-day returns. Quince.com/disturbed.
Hey, it's Paris. You know I love sparkly things, right? Like stars. Duh. And thanks to Hilton and AutoCamp, I just slept under them. Picture me, serving looks by the fire outside my luxurious Airstream, making s'mores with the kids, while a national park is our backdrop. The great outdoors meets Hilton hospitality. That's hot. Explore all the new ways to stay at Hilton.com. Hilton for the stay.
This episode is brought to you by Starbucks. Smooth, bright, deliciously crafted. Introducing Starbucks Sansera Blend, their smoothest, brightest coffee yet. It's a new kind of light roast, one that's packed with so much flavor, it shines no matter how you brew it. So go ahead and try it hot, iced, black, or with a splash of creamer. Visit athome.starbucks.com/Sansera-blend-coffee to bring Starbucks Sansera Blend home.
How do you top your love for your cat? With a cascade of decadent, savory gravy over a mouth-watering mousse pâté. Fancy Feast Gems. 2 gourmet pâtés in one convenient pack. Simply peel and plate to reveal a pyramid shape that makes eating delightful and pamper her with an experience as extraordinary as she is. Turn the everyday into the extraordinary with Fancy Feast Gems.
Welcome back to the podcast. Our next story is told by Kat Carter from Reddit user Fags and Laser Tags about an entity who has followed your mother home.
I live in Ireland, and to treat my mother to a nice little weekend getaway, I planned a trip for us to stay in the Kennedy Castle with her. It's a medieval castle in Ireland that's been converted to a hotel. To save a couple dollars, we shared a room. Something felt off from the moment we got there. My mother and I simultaneously got hit with a massive headache that left us a little on edge. After unpacking and sharing a few drinks in the bar downstairs, we settled in to get some sleep ahead of some activities in the castle the next day. So, at 3 a.m. that morning, we both snapped awake as the chair at the end of my mom's bed scraped against the floor loudly. My heart was racing from the initial shock, but I didn't freak out or jump out of bed. Just a weird old chair, I thought, as we both tried to just roll over. Maybe the drinks hadn't quite worn off yet. Unfortunately, the witching hour was no coincidence on this trip. 2 hours later, my mother woke me up screaming. She had just seen a woman standing at the end of the bed, on her side. She looked middle-aged, with dark hair parted in the middle and pinned back, she thought, as it seemed to swoop behind the ears. She blinked, and the woman was gone. My mom started packing her bags immediately, panicked, but we quickly realized we couldn't leave. I could still feel night's activities affecting me, so it wasn't safe to drive off into the countryside yet. I talked her down, and we stayed until breakfast. We couldn't sleep a wink. With the castle in the rearview mirror, my mother and I, in eerie unison, felt the headaches we had been fighting vanish in an instant. An uneasy silence accompanied us our entire drive home. When we arrived, we unpacked our car at a snail's pace, both feeling incredibly heavy, uneasy in a way that lingered. I went back to my own house. My mom returned to the family home. She was exhausted, running on almost no sleep. She told me that before going to bed, she spoke aloud to the room, to whatever presence might have followed her, and asked firmly for it to stay out. She said she did not give permission for anything to enter her bedroom. She fell asleep around 11:30 p.m. 2 hours later, she was jolted awake by a strange sound. She said it was like a plastic bottle rolling across a wooden floor just outside her bedroom door. It was loud, lasted about 6 seconds. She sat up on the edge of the bed, listening. Then, as she walked toward the bathroom, it started again. Louder, longer. It sounded like it was just an inch outside the door. Her whole body went tense. She said her head was screaming not to open it. Instead, she picked up her phone and called my brother, 18 male, whose room is directly across the long hallway. She asked him to come check outside her door. He did. There was nothing there. A little while after was my mother's 51st birthday, and she was more uneasy than ever. At the restaurant, she looked physically tense, nervous to go home, but dreading to be there. She said the feeling of dread was almost unbearable. I decided to accompany her home, and when we returned to the house, I burned sage in her bedroom, the hallways, doorways, and windows, just trying to do everything I could to cleanse the space and help her feel better. Even after, she said the house doesn't feel like it used to. It feels wrong. She wanted to sell it just to get away from whatever followed her. Since that night in Kennedy Castle, something seems to have followed her. Something cold, something that watches, waits, lingers, just on the other side of the door. It's been a couple weeks since I smudged the home, and whatever it was seems to have gotten the message and left my poor mother in peace. What a blessing. We never found out who the woman was or what she wanted. A ruined girls' trip is one thing, but that's not where the haunting ended. Whatever passed through that hotel room didn't stay behind. It came home with her.
We'll be right back. Our last story comes from r/paranormal and is narrated by Bodhi Crowe. There is something in our apartment, and we don't know what it is. We need help getting rid of it.
This happened to me 10 years ago, and I still remember it like it was yesterday. Whenever I think about it, it still sends shivers down my spine. It might sound exaggerated, but I don't think I've ever been this close to hell. This event took place on a summer evening, and whether you believe it or not is up to you. Here's the story. I was staying in a dorm and decided to visit my family home during a break. I did this often. I hadn't seen my parents or sibling in a while and missed them dearly. Our family home wasn't too far, but it wasn't exactly close either. I told my family I'd be coming home, and they were aware. But they mentioned they'd be visiting my aunt and might get back late. Normally, my dad would pick me up, but this time he was accompanying my mom. They told me to take a cab. They wanted me to wait at home, and honestly, I was too tired to argue. I just wanted to rest, and frankly, I didn't like my cousins. They were way too noisy. So I took a cab and started my journey home. By the time I arrived, it was already midday. As I stepped out of the cab and looked at my house, something caught my eye, a movement behind the curtains. It looked like someone was there. I couldn't see clearly, but I was almost certain I saw the silhouette of a person. No one was supposed to be home. Could it be my sibling? That was the only possibility I could think of at the time. I got out of the car and walked toward the front door. When I arrived, I knocked and waited, but no one answered. This was strange. I could have sworn someone was inside, but the windows and doors were all locked. I thought maybe I was just imagining things because I was so tired. We always kept a spare key hidden outside. It wouldn't be wise to reveal the location here. I retrieved the key and unlocked the door. For a moment, I hesitated. I can't explain why, but I felt like my whole body was warning me not to go inside. But there was no logical reason for that feeling, so I dismissed it and stepped inside. The house was silent, eerily silent. No one was there. I was exhausted, so I headed straight to my sibling's room and laid down on the bed. The last thing I remember was falling into a deep sleep. When I woke up, it was already dark, and my family still wasn't home. I called them, and they said they'd be a little later than expected. Feeling hungry, I decided to go to the kitchen to grab something to eat. The lights were off, so I made my way through the hallway to turn them on. As I did, I started hearing faint sounds from the kitchen, like someone softly humming a melody. It was the most beautiful sound I'd ever heard, almost hypnotic. It sounded like a woman's voice, and it pulled me toward it. I was terrified, but I couldn't resist. Slowly, I reached for the kitchen door handle. My arm felt like it was moving on its own. The moment I touched the handle, the humming stopped. Silence. I tried convincing myself it was just a sound from outside. I was searching for a logical explanation. or maybe I was still half asleep. Hesitating, I opened the door. The kitchen was completely dark. Nothing was there. The windows and doors were still locked. I told myself my mind was playing tricks on me, that I was just groggy. I grabbed something to eat and went back to my siblings' room to lie down again, and that's when it happened. As I walked to the room, I turned off the hallway lights. Just as I did, I felt a chilling presence behind me. My heart started pounding, and instinctively, I turned around. And I saw it. Standing in the doorway was a figure. It was dressed in black, as if wrapped in silk. No face, no eyes. Nothing was visible, but I could clearly see it standing there. It faced me, with its back to the door, completely still, like a lifeless corpse. But I could feel its gaze, as if it was studying me from head to toe. I couldn't hear anything except the sound of my heart pounding wildly. All I remember is screaming and running into my siblings' room, slamming the door shut and locking it. I hid under the blanket, trembling. I reached for my phone to call my mom, or maybe the police, but it wasn't there. Then I remembered I'd left it in the kitchen while eating. I couldn't go back to the kitchen. What if it was still out there? The kitchen door was right next to the main door. I had no idea what to do. I felt like a trapped animal, praying for that thing to leave. Then I heard it. 3 knocks on the door. And then silence. My heart was racing, but that wasn't the scariest part. The most terrifying thing came next. A voice I recognized. It was my mom's voice.
Son, open the door. I miss you.
But there was no warmth in it, no emotion at all. I was frozen. Something deep inside me screamed not to answer. Then it spoke again.
Son, why won't you open the door? Don't you miss me?
But it wasn't my mom. My mom always called me by my name. Only my dad used to address me like that. I covered my ears and tried to block it out. I think it went on for about 30 minutes, repeating at intervals, and then silence. I wanted to get my phone from the kitchen, but what if it was still there? I decided to stay in my siblings' room until my family came home. I don't know how long I waited, but eventually, I heard the sound of the front door opening. A familiar voice called out.
Son, are you home?
It was my dad. Dad, I shouted back. You're here.
Why weren't you answering your phone?
My sibling ran to hug me, and when I saw my mom, I embraced her tightly, which surprised her. I never usually did that because I was shy, but I didn't care this time. I told them what happened, though I didn't go into too much detail. They were shocked, which was understandable. I didn't want to worry them too much, especially since they lived in that house. I considered myself mature for my age. After that, nothing strange happened during my stay. When the break ended, my dad dropped me off at the dorm. I never told anyone else about this. They'd probably think I was crazy. But when I searched online, I found many people with similar experiences. It was comforting to know I wasn't losing my mind. But what if there really was something there? What about my family? These thoughts haunted me every time I visited the family home. It's been 10 years. My family still lives there, and nothing else has happened since. But I'll never forget that night, especially that beautiful melody. It's still stuck in my head.
Want more Disturbed? Check out our Patreon for member-exclusive content, early merch access, and other cool perks. I'm your host, Doug Bailey, and this has been Disturbed, a production of Killer Podcasts and part of the Evergreen Network. For more paranormal and true crime shows, visit killerpodcasts.com. Follow our social channels at Disturbed Podcast on Instagram or Disturbed_pod on Twitter. If you enjoyed the show, please consider subscribing and reviewing on your favorite listening platform. Share your own true horror story at disturbedpodcast.com. Music by Epidemic Sound and by Carl Casey at White Bat Audio. Our producer is Noah Fouts. Our audio engineers are Nathan Corson and Will Pritz. Executive producer Bridget Coyne. Until next time, stay safe out there.
With so many options, why choose Arizona State University?
For me, the only online option was ASU because of the quality. Their faculty was really involved with their students and care about your personal journey. The dedication to my personal development from my professors, that's been extremely valuable to me.
Earn your degree from the nation's most innovative university. Online. That's a degree better. Explore more than 350 plus undergraduate, graduate, and certificate programs at asuonline.asu.edu.
Shop the Sherwin-Williams 4th of July sale and get 30% off paints and stains June 27th through July 7th. With prices starting at $34.29, it's the perfect time to transform your space with color. Whether you're looking to revamp your interior or exterior, we have you covered with bold hues, soothing neutrals, and everything in between. Visit your neighborhood Sherwin-Williams store or shop the sale online. Delivery available on qualifying orders. Click the banner to learn more. Retail sales only. Some exclusions apply. See store for details.